Hi there, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 6 of the Asylum challenge. Last week I thought I was making good progress with Ailish, but since then when I've been playing I've noticed that one part of their aspiration, the part where they have to offer advice, is actually dependent on them offering advice to Sims that are not in their household. So this means that Ailish will have to leave the lot and meet other Sims. Ailish is one of the Sims that is currently locked in. The only Sim who was allowed to leave was Carol. Now, I could have done this by having Ailish go out into the street and just meet Sims in passing and try to befriend them, but I thought it was easier to take Ailish to a lot where they could meet people, a community lot. So I went into the gallery and I found this fantastic build by Nikamoosh. It uses a number of packs, as you can see there, mostly expansion packs, including High School Years, Eco Lifestyle, Discover University, Island Living, Get Famous, Cats and Dogs, City Living, Get Together, Get to Work, Realm of Magic, Jungle Adventure and Vampires. And thankfully those are all packs that I have, so personally for me this was perfect to use. And I have put that into Newcrest at this location here. So Ailish will be travelling to this community lot as and when I need them to do some socialising, to meet some other Sims, to offer advice and to achieve that part of their aspiration. They will be the only Sim that's leaving the lot and it will just be for this purpose. So a quick tour of this lot. As you can see, it's nice and run down in the back here. It's got lots of rubbish outside of it. It's got an outdoor toilet there just in the middle of the back garden area. This is exactly the sort of thing I was looking for, and by luck I found it on one of my first shots. The top floor is just a room with a punching bag in it and a radiator. There's no lights anywhere in the property. And then the next floor down there's a bed. And then the next floor down there's a DJ booth, a couch, a TV, there's a fridge, there's an oven, and there's a couple of worktops so that a Sim could basically live here, and the only thing they don't have is a place for hygiene, a place to wash their hands or something. It's very well set up. It's just set up as a community centre. I really love how run down and and just abandoned and forgotten it looks. I think it's perfect for the vibe that I was going for something that I wanted for this. So Ailish will come here when they need to socialise and meet up with some people. And just going into the lot properties, as you can see, it is a community space. I am adding on the convivial trait just to help with the socialisation, because the main purpose of having this lot is for Ailish to be able to come here to make new friends and to try and influence them, so that's probably the best trait to add. And with all that in place, I am ready to start this week's episode. Another day in the asylum, and another fire. It seemed like every time Ailish turned their back, one of their fellow inmates was setting themselves on fire in the kitchen, something Ailish had never managed to do to themselves, but for some reason, every other member of the asylum had managed to set themselves on fire and burn to a crisp. It was starting to become something of a routine, and as per routine, Glenn was the one to put the fire out. Glenn always seemed to be the one who extinguished the fire and saved the life of whoever it was that had set themselves on fire, but don't be mistaken, this doesn't make Glenn any less of a massive dick. Despite the chaos and the daily perils and risk to life with the fires, Ailish was surprisingly making good progress on their aspiration. They had 6 out of 7 of the skill level for their charisma, and they had made 4 out of 5 good friends. However, they had not had any luck successfully influencing any Sims yet. For that, they might need to take a slightly different approach. Ailish would have to meet some Sims outside of the asylum to spread their influence. This was an important part of completing their aspiration, and this would be the final step that they would need to do in order to finally escape the asylum. After waking up in a flirty mood, Ailish tried their hand again at befriending Elgers. If they could become a good friend of Elgers, this would give them 5 out of 5 good friends, and complete that part of their aspiration. Elgers was a really difficult person to get along with, and Ailish couldn't help but notice that Elgers had grown a beard. It looked a little bit like that beard that he grew in 2020 during a certain particular time, when Ailish and everyone else in the asylum all had to go to work, whilst many other people didn't. Elgers always shaved his face and his head himself, but for some reason, during 2020, he became unable to shave his face despite the fact that he still shaved his head. No one's really sure why this is, but here we are. In order to make some meaningful progression with their aspiration, Ailish travelled to the local community centre to try to meet some new Sims. The community centre had a certain vibe to it. It had some little furry friends for everyone to admire. It had some nice, artwork on the walls. But that didn't stop people from coming along, and it didn't stop people from making friends. Of course, the community centre did also have some unusual facilities at it, but at least everyone was respectful enough to stay out of the back area of the community centre whilst Ailish used those facilities. Ailish was having some good luck meeting some new people though, and was having a rather good chat with Jeffrey Landgrab. In this setting, in this dreary community centre, Jeffrey was quite a pleasant person to chat to, and things seemed to be going quite well, until Nancy showed up and kind of just butted into the conversation and ruined everything. Ailish met Hilary Laurent at the community centre. Hilary was someone who at least took the time to actually stay and have a conversation with Ailish, and the two got on quite well. So well, in fact, that Ailish felt perhaps Hilary was someone that they could offer advice to. After learning about Hilary's interests and their current employment, Ailish decided to ask Hilary to pursue her dream job, and this piece of advice went over successfully. Finally, Ailish was making progress on their aspiration in terms of offering advice to other Sims successfully. Unfortunately, they would have to do this 19 more times in order to complete this step of their aspiration. As a bonus, as Ailish got to know all these other Sims and tried to offer them advice, they were also building their charisma skill, and in doing so, they reached level 7 of the charisma skill, checking off one part of their aspiration, taking them one step closer to getting out of the asylum. And with that, I think we'll leave it here for this episode. Join us next time as Ailish continues to push through the last steps of their aspiration and finally leave the asylum. Thanks for watching.
Oh!